So we've talked about the materials in your archive and how they are kept for generation after generation. I'd like to have a look at some different types of items that people might have in their own homes, and which we tend to describe as ephemera, the objects that were not made to last so very long, and to see what people can do themselves at home. So I have got here a box with some material that comes from our own family, and they are some family photos. There is an old Christmas card from 1939 when the Christmas theme could still just be nice flowers. There are some banknotes in an envelope, very old banknotes. A little travel document. So the kind of things that people inherit from their parents. I found some of this material as I was clearing out my father's attic. This, in fact, is my father with his brother and his sister. Okay. And it came to me in envelopes, in literally a plastic carrier bag. And of course, they are not the best ways of storing items. So here we have a system that's just kind of off the shelf method of storing items. It's again made with that polyester material, nice big sleeves. And this, in fact, is a set of documents that relate to an ancestor who was an opera singer. So we have here a number of kind of calling cards that she would hand out at the end of her performances. And this is not quite an ideal system because, as we can see, the pockets are actually a bit too big for the items that are in them. And an attempt has been made to keep items in place with these little strips, but it hasn't quite worked. But it does allow us to look through these cards without having to touch any of them. And here, if we want to see some of what's on the back, again, we have the individual sleeves. Not all of them have information on the back, but those that have, we can just see that without needing to handle the item itself. And if we go a few pages further, we get some nice items, very good examples of ephemera, where we have theatre programs, the announcement of a performance, the program that goes with the performance, the pictures of the singers in it. So these are the kind of things that people themselves might want to keep. Yeah. And of course, this is a lovely way of doing that. And I'm sure this kind of system will also have pockets where we have individual compartments, so we can just slot smaller items in so that they're not going to slide around so very much. Oops, see, there's one sliding down, so that is not quite ideal, they're rubbing against each other. But it does give an idea of how you can take a collection of material, even if they are different items, not just photos, but some of them are quite firm card and some are little leaflets, and bring them together in one system that then allows all of it to be kept together. And it is all integrated in the box. So we're getting that same effect of the boxes that you use in the archive. It is a good environment where it can be kept dust-free. The light can't get at it. And yet we can safely handle all these items.
They are wonderful photographs, and you know, family history is so popular these days that we're finding that more and more people are collecting similar items to this. You know, lots of photographs, lots of ephemera. It could be, well, you've got theatre programs there, but it could be football programs or, you know, similar items that have this kind of transitory life to them, but for many people they have a value a sentimental value, which goes way beyond the short life that the items were intended for. And you know, storage systems like this are just perfect. It kind of reminds me of a collection that we have in the archive of Grampian police records, and there is a tremendous collection of wanted posters which accumulated in the police station at Dufton. And similar to some of these items, you know, the wanted posters only had a very short shelf life because after the crime had been solved, most times they were thrown away. But fortunately, this collection survived in this attic, and we store them nowadays in a very, very similar system to this. So they're very durable. You can handle them. You can turn the pages. You can see front and reverse, and you know, they will survive for many, many more years now because of that system. But an interesting thought is, though, that you know, you've got physical photographs here, but these days people are obviously producing digital photographs, and not just one or two or a folder full. It's reams and reams of these digital images, which of course have a value, a sentimental value, just as much as these do, but it's an archival conundrum and a conservational conundrum about how these are going to survive into the future. You know, are people backing these up? Do they have more than one copy? You know, some of them may have been taken on a camera 10 years ago. Can you still access those photographs? And in many ways, those more recent items are much more fragile than the photographs that you've got with you here. And you know, that whole kind of aspect of digital preservation opens up a whole different kind of can of worms, if you like.
It does, yeah. Well, I think we're sticking with the good old paper items. And there's a nice little anecdote here, which I'd like to tell you. My father was very interested in planes, and in non-motorized planes in particular, gliders. And where we lived in the Netherlands, in the dunes, we could go and see them on a Saturday, and if it was the right weather, you'd see the gliders go, and if you could go up with them, and it would cost 10 guilders. So one birthday, my mother gave my father 10 guilders to go on a flight. He never went. We're not sure why, but when after his death I cleared out the house, I found the envelope, and in fact, the tenner is still in there. So it's a lovely story, but I guess ideally we would take the banknote out of the envelope and keep that flat and put it in a nice sleeve and keep them separate. Well, thank you so much for talking to me about the conservation issues of archival material. It's been really interesting. I'd just like to say that if anyone is interested and would like to know more about this kind of thing, they can go to the website of the Institute of Conservation at icon.org.uk, where there's a lot of information about the care of archives and documents and art on paper. And if they have an artifact that they would like conserved, they can also find a link there to a list of accredited conservators.
Another very good resource is the website of the National Archives, which is based at Kew in London. And that has wonderful resources on it relating to steps you can take to ensure basic preservation and conservation techniques are adhered to. It's really, really well worth having a look at.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Great.